Welcome back to the power and the glory. You know, one of the things that Christians do that lets them down is that they try to fight their own battles when quite clearly there's many circumstances where God should fight your battles for you. And it's easy to get tired out there. And especially if you're somebody like me, a child of God, because persecution and unending attacks from the enemy have been, something that's a day in, day out sort of scenario. And I've been targeted by a group of Satanists whose attacks on me are beyond biblical in their intensity, size, and scale. Now, it hits different when you realize that the forces of darkness don't just want to harass you, they want to take you down and take you out completely. And all under the cover of practical societal anonymity and a thin veneer of faux respectability. So look, it's easy to get worn out, especially if you make the mistake of trying to fight your battles on your own. So what's the solution? Well, in my own struggles, it's good to know that the Bible is full of characters who've been up against it. I mean, literally. We're not talking about, the slight questioning of faith. We're talking about people whose very lives needed God's intervention. People like Elijah, David, and Moses. So we get tired because our power is limited. What we've also always got to remember is that we worship a God whose power is anything but. There is no limit to the righteous power of Jesus. The Bible encourages believers to trust in God to fight their battles rather than themselves. And we see this with Exodus and the crossing of the Red Sea, where Moses steps up as a powerful leader, strong and forthright in his faith. And he says to the Israelites who are waiting to cross the Red Sea, stand still and see the salvation of the Lord. We see that in Exodus chapter 14, verse 13. And in Exodus 14, verse 14, the Lord will fight for you. You only need to be still. So this verse, along with others, suggests that while believers face challenges, they can find comfort and strength in God's promise to be their protector and deliverer. So what are the key takeaways from Moses' crossing of the Red Sea and what the Israelites experienced? Well, it's all about God's sovereignty, trusting God and being obedient to your faith in God, and having faith in the face of fear. So how do we apply this principle? Well, we've got to recognize God's role, acknowledge that God is the ultimate source of power and authority, seek God's guidance, pray for wisdom and discernment in navigating life's challenges, and trust in his timing, pray for wisdom and discernment navigating life's challenges. Trust in his timing, be patient and trust that God's timing is perfect, even when things don't happen as quickly as you'd like, and stand firm in faith, resist the temptation to take matters into your own hands, and instead rely on God's strength.